The Detroit Lions have had a busy offseason, especially at the cornerback position. As many of you know, they signed DJ Reed. He was the big money deal. He was the big money contract. Then they went out. They re-signed Khalil Dorsey. They got Rock Yassin. And then finally they went and got Avonte Maddox from the Philadelphia Eagles. And the question now is kind of coming around. And there is a trade rumor that is building up momentum. And I just kind of want to squash this for a second and talk about what I think is actually happening. But there's now this kind of rumor or thing going around that the Lions are looking to trade Amik Robertson. I'm going to start with this. Do you want to see Meek go? Like, I don't want to get rid of Amik Robertson. I think it signals something completely different, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over to the article that it is talking about it. The Sporting News came out, and there is talk by a guy from, I don't know what it is, Pro Football Focus, Bradley Locker, and he's talking about how the Lions addressed the loss of Carlton Davis by signing DJ Reed to a big ticket deal. But the list of defensive players entering last year of contracts is long. Robertson feels like one of the more likely players to be dealt. In his first year in Detroit, he churned out a 62.2 PFF coverage grade, but a stellar 89.7 PFF run defense grade. Given that the Lions drafted Ennis Rakestraw Jr. in the second round last year, the team should figure to get him additional reps this year, potentially by trading Robertson. Okay, I don't think that's what's happening, but let's talk about it. All right, first, I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's happening, and then we can talk about why it might happen, because I like to talk about both, but I do not think this makes a lot of sense. I just don't. All right, first off, the article that we just read was titled Lions $9 million free agent. That is misleading. It is misleading. His contract over 2 years is $9 million. But this year it's 6.4. If we were to trade him, we'd still be on the hook for 2.1. Now, you want to trade him for a draft pick? Fine. Maybe you end up getting like a 4th round pick for him, something like that. 4th, 5th round pick. You have to pay that guy almost $1 million. By the time all that comes to fruition, you save what? $1.3 million, 1.2, $1.1 million. Over, like, I mean, it's closer to like $3 million you save. Okay, great. You save $3 million. You can roll that into the salary cap next year. Fine. That is why they think it makes sense. But for me, it's like it only saves you 4.3. You have to pay another guy, so it only ends up saving you about $3 million. That is one reason why I don't think they'll do it. The other one has to do with the lineup itself. All right, this is a list of some of our defensive backs. This is PFF's cornerbacks. They keep putting Brian Branch in there because he's played a large amount of nickel, right? So let's look at the quarterbacks we have on the roster, and I'm going to go based on where I think they're going to play, right? First, you have Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed. I think those are your two outside corners. I think that makes the most sense to me. All right, then you have Rock Yassin, who's an outside corner. Now let's talk about the inside. Ennis Rakestraw Jr., do they want him to play nickel? Avonte Maddox has played a large amount of nickel for the Eagles. Amik Robertson has shown that he is a better, despite his size, kind of like DJ Reed, by the way, he has shown that he is a better outside corner than he is a nickel corner. His best PFF grades come from the outside. We saw it toward the end of the year when he was asked to go to the outside. Remember that game against Justin Jefferson and the Minnesota Vikings? He is a good outside corner. With the injury struggles that we had last year, are you telling me that they don't want the ability to bring Amik Robertson to the outside? This is the type of depth piece that Super Bowl contending teams need to have. Amik Robertson, yes, he's not paid like he's going to be a clear starting cornerback in this league, so he doesn't have to be a clear starting cornerback for us. He might start in the slot. He might not. Ennis Rakestraw is going to have the opportunity to beat him out in the slot. And if Rakestraw beats him out in the slot, which I don't know if he'll be able to do, I mean, he's got 400 soft tissue injuries. All right. But if he is able to beat him out in the slot, which every Detroit Lions fan should hope that he does. Like, we should all be hoping that Ennis Rakestraw is good enough to beat out Robertson in the slot, because that means we spent wisely in the draft. Then Amik Robertson immediately becomes a third outside corner. That makes sense to me. That makes more sense than trading him. So if you decide that you want to trade him, what are you trading him for? Are you trading him for a late round draft pick that hopefully turns into a depth defensive end? Are you trading him for a late first round, or late, not first round, but a late draft pick, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round draft pick that you hope becomes interior offensive lineman, a depth piece there? Like, what are you hoping to get from him if you trade him? I feel like the Lions cornerback room has become much more set. And what I like about it is you have guys of all different ages. So over here, of your best players, you have Terrion Arnold, who's only 22, and then you have the veteran DJ Reed. That's your outside corners. And then Amik Robertson is 26, almost 27. Then you have Rock Ya-Sin and Avonte Maddox, both 28-year-old guys. Maddox will be 29 next year. But then you have the young Ennis Rakestraw. So you have the young guys coming up and about ready to be there. And then you have the veterans that you're not paying much of anything. This goes to the strategy that I've been talking about this offseason, which are, you have your haves and your have-nots. Your haves are guys that you invest a large amount of money and or draft capital into. So your first, your second, even sometimes third round picks. But this is your Terrion Arnolds and your Ennis Rakestraws. These are guys that you invest a lot into. Then monetarily, it's your DJ Reed. Those are your haves. Your have-nots are the guys that you're putting at really low-level contracts, but you're hoping that if they have to play, they will play well. Those are your guys that have NFL experiences. All right, Avonte Maddox, Rock Ya-Sin, Amik Robertson. Those are the kind of guys that you need on your roster to go with the young, up-and-coming rookies and the players that you're paying large amounts of money for. Honestly, we could go and we could do this at almost any position for the Detroit Lions. I mean, like, look at this. Look at the interior. All right, defensive line. You have your haves and your have-nots. Your haves are DJ Reader and Aleem McNeil. They're getting paid. Then you have the guys that you're getting on bargain salaries that you're hoping to get good production out of. Roy Lopez and Levi Onwuzurike. You can do the same thing on the offensive line. You have your halves, Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, and Penei Sewell. And then we're messing around with a little bit of an in-between, which I don't love. That's Graham Glasgow. Those almost never seem to work out. Those about 10 million a year type of guys, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's like, yeah, I really hate paying decent players a lot of money. But then you have the have-nots, right? The Mahoganies of the world that you're hoping are going to take the next level. All that kind of stuff. So that is the way rosters are kind of built, and it just makes sense. The haves and the have-nots. Amik Robertson is a luxury as an in-between player on a salary that we can absolutely afford this year. Absolutely afford this year. So let's let it happen. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one.